Hey guys, Jim Burris here down in St. Pete, Florida. Just wanted to take a couple minutes and share with you a story about a subject that's pretty near and dear to my life. It's been very impactful. Didn't even realize it till a few years ago, and I'm sure a few of you have kind of similar stories, and a lot of you, after I talk about this, you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize that." What I want to talk to you about is mentors and how impactful they can be on your life, and how we all have them. Most people don't know they have them, or don't call them that, and that's okay. But what is a mentor? Let's ask old Mr. Webster here. And this is a mentor. It's a noun, a wise advisor. So I'm sure a lot of bells went off with a lot of folks there. You know, early on in my life, just to share with you real quick, some of the mentors that I had were, growing up in Dogtown in St. Louis. A guy named Al McNeil, he was my basketball coach, and caught me smoking a cigarette one time. And at basketball practice, he kind of pulled me off to the side and just explained to me how that wasn't a good idea. I thank him for that, and don't smoke to this day. Also, another guy, Danny Liston. Danny's a great guy. He's should Google him. I'll just leave it at that. He's kind of a famous rock and roll guy, and ran a youth group in our neighborhood. It was just profound. Both of those guys, I didn't realize the lessons they had taught me until later on in my life. And you kind of reflect back and you go, "Oh, this is what they were talking about. Oh, now I know." Moved out to Herman, Missouri. There's a few folks out there in high school that were pretty impactful and had made a difference in my life. And there was Mr. Zare, Coach Hunter, who was my English teacher, and Mrs. Heck was the art teacher. I'm probably the only guy in the world that's ever failed art in high school, but learned a lot of great stuff there from her. And moving on into the Marine Corps, there was a ton of people, mainly the drill instructors, kind of right off the bat. Remember the chaplain said one day, he says, you'll forget a lot of things, but you'll never forget the names of your drill instructors. I still remember them. It's been like 20 years ago. The heavy hat was Staff Sergeant Duncan. That was the senior drill instructor. The heavy hat was Staff Sergeant Edwards. And there was Staff Sergeant Shields and Sergeant Steele. And great guys. Didn't think they were so great at the time, but the lessons that I learned were impactful. The one I remember the most, who definitely taught me the definition of integrity without saying, "Hey, this is the definition of integrity," was Staff Sergeant Edwards. Caught me talking to somebody when I was on guard duty at night, and he says, "Good to go, Burris," and kind of gave me the works, right? Asked me what my 7th general order was, and not to talk to no one, step in the line of duty, and so on. Then he stopped and he looked at me. I'll never forget this. He says, "It doesn't matter what you do when people are watching you. It only matters what you do when no one can see you. In the dark of the night, in somewhere when you're by yourself, those are the things that matter. They define who you are." And I want to thank him for that. I also want to thank Staff Sergeant Tony Cheney. Very impactful in my life to this day. Just the things that, whether it's the history lessons or the, just kind of the work ethic and I don't even know how to explain it. Just the lessons. Some of the things are just they're not at the surface, but when you kind of look at why you are the way you are and the things you do that have gotten you, 2 points in your life, you can't help but notice, like, "Oh, I learned that from this guy," or it's like reading a book. You read a book and then a couple years later you say something, you're like, "Oh, it's like directly out of this book," So I want to thank all those guys. And, outside of the Marine Corps, later on in my life, kind of in the world of business and in sales, one of the companies that I work with now, this guy's pretty much took me off the street. Wasn't homeless, but I wanted a sales career. Didn't really have any sales experience, but I had a burning desire to be a salesman. And they definitely helped me out there. Took me under their wing. In addition to them, Eric up in Atlanta, great guy, sales coach. Couldn't say enough about him. Kind of what I really wanted to talk about. One of the most recent things that's been the most impactful. Well, it was an event I went to called the Landmark Forum. If you want to know what the Landmark Forum is, just Google it, wherever Google is. and it's pretty impressive. Take a look at it. The guy who was teaching the Landmark Forum leader was a guy named Arjamand. His last name was about this long. Started with an R, like 13 other letters. He's an Iranian guy, great guy. One of the things he said, I'll never forget. He said, most of you get up, most, if not all of you, get up in the morning because you didn't die the night before. Took a while for that to sink in, and it'll probably take a while for that to sink in with you. Hopefully not too long. And then he also said, you think you have problems, but the problem you have is that you don't have big enough problems. And he went in to talk about Martin Luther King and John F. Kennedy and John Lennon and a lot of different folks, Mother Teresa. And if you think about them, most of them, their lives ended with a bullet. Gandhi, they had big problems. And by having those big problems, it impacted their life, and they were able to impact they've impacted the world, So basically, I came out of there with this idea, okay, I'm getting out of bed. For the most part, I have goals and whatnot, but I needed something that really inspired me. I needed a big problem. So I took a piece of paper, and I wrote, what is my big problem? And I put it up kind of next to my computer right here, looked at it every day, and eventually, it came to me. I had this idea. There's another video and a blog post on my website where I talk about that in a little more detail. Basically what it is it's my gift to the world, how I can help, and I'm going to work with Marines that were hurt, injured, lost limbs, mental problems, whatever. Going to help them with housing and starting a business and just a lot of things. Personal development, or what I call getting your mind right, just kind of getting the right thought process down, learning the things you need to know about, sales, business, marketing, it's communication. You can give it all these fancy words and, Harvard Business School, but it's just how to communicate. That's what everything is. So that's what I hope to kind of communicate with you guys today, is to look for, encourage you to find or be a mentor to someone. And just, after you watch this video, it's only 10 minutes long. Take 2-3 minutes and just write down and maybe thank the people. Some of the people that I mentioned, I can't thank. They're not around anymore. But I've written them letters. And some of you that haven't heard from me, you're going to hear from me. I want to personally thank you, in addition to this video. But just see how they've impacted your life. Grow from that. Expand on that. And just commit to being a mentor to someone else, whether it's a young kid in the neighborhood or one of your students. And also look who like I'm searching for a new mentor now, or the next mentor. Or they're always just around me. Most of them don't go away, but just that area that I'm working on. Who's going to be that guy? You ever heard the phrase "the man"? He's the man. That's where that phrase comes from. Allegedly, like I think it's from the Freemasons. And when you're being taught a lesson by someone, he's the man. He's your man. So go out there and find a mentor, and make a difference in the world. Find out what your big problem is. I'm just so grateful that I realized that when I get out of bed in the morning, and it makes a difference. It really does. The other day I was tired, didn't want to get up, and I was like, well, I'm not just getting up for me. I'm not getting up for Burris anymore, for Jim Burris. So you know him as Andy Burris. I'm not just getting up for him. I'm getting up for the world. I'm getting up for these people that I'm committed to making a difference in their life. I want to thank you guys for joining me. You can check out more at my website, jamesaburris.com. I'm going to try to put a link on here if I can figure out how to do that. I'll see you on the flip side. Semper Fi.